Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. We have with us once again back on the show, Uncle James Ali Bashir. Let's get straight into this one. Uncle Bashir, how are we doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, Uncle, you're always doing fine. Always doing fine. It's great to see you.
I'm thankful. A lot of people that I know in this COVID situation and in life, because of health circumstances and other things that life problems bring to them, they're not doing so well. So I'm thankful to say that I'm doing well. I'm okay.
Fantastic. Let's put you on the main screen. Right. So, Uncle, let's talk about a few things. First of all, your guy fought on Sunday. How did that go?
He won a unanimous decision, and he won the Asian WBC title. So I'm grateful for it. He won. Things didn't go the way that I would have had them to go, but I wasn't in the ring.
So how would you have them go then?
I would have had him to stop the guy, to KO the guy. The guy has never been stopped by anybody. But I think that because technical applications, either the fighters can't do the things that the trainers want them to do, or the guy's just plain tough. But we couldn't stop him, so we got the decision. And one of the WBC judges had the guy win the first 4 rounds, and I'm asking, when I get the video, I can better address the situation. But I had SIRENKO winning the first 4 rounds. In fact, I had him winning 8 of the 10 rounds.
So you say 2 rounds you gave to the other guy?
Yeah, I could say Vlad took off 2 rounds and gave those rounds away.
Okay, so
I want SIRENKO to fight every second of every round, and people say, "Oh, that's impossible." It's not impossible. What's impossible is when people think about it as impossible. But if you train a particular way, then you could be executing in the fight a particular way. I want the fighter to fight every second, every round. Step on the gas. If you fight like that, if you train like that, you'll be able to fight like that.
If the trainer sees it as impossible, then if the trainer finds it's impossible, then the fighter's got no chance. So if the trainer's got a limit, then the fighter's not going to learn anything from that, is he?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't put impossible in the boxers that I train. I don't put impossible in their minds. I'm reaching for the stars. Everything I do, my entire life, I'm reaching for the stars. Even if I don't live to see another day, I want to be said that I was reaching for the stars. That I was trying to do the best that I could do.
Fantastic. Now, when a fighter doesn't get the knockout, does that register anything to you as a trainer, or should a fighter be alarmed because he couldn't get the knockout?
No, not really. It's just something that I felt that was within our reach to do that. I felt that it was within our reach to do that, and a couple of times I felt that SIRENKO took his foot off the gas. He took his foot off the gas, and he allowed the opponent to live. My style of training is don't let nobody live. From bell one, I want you out there putting the pressure on, putting the footwork on, not recklessly, mind you, but collectively, to apply yourself collectively. Foot pressure, cutting the ring, making a fight, making the guy fight. Don't let the guy, the opponent sit around resting and thinking about what he's going to do. you got to have a certain mental resolve when you step in the ring. There has to be a mental resolve. There has to be. I think this guy, Puerto Rican kid, Vallejo,
Vallejo, yeah, the guy who fought on the Saturday night,
and he fought Nakatani,
and he knocked the guy down twice and came back and got knocked out himself.
The kid Nakatani, he's a highly underestimated 135 pounder. But the one thing that I observed about Nakatani is that he has mental resolve. He's not going to be discouraged.
Right.
You know, he's there, he's on a mission, and his goal is to slay whatever is in front of him. And he came back from those 2 knockdowns, and as the fight progressed, it was Vallejo who started letting down. You know, you can't be in condition to go 6 rounds or 7 rounds when you're in a 12-round fight or a 10-round fight. You got to have the mental resolve as well as the physical attribute to go those rounds under the worst circumstances. So I try to create the worst circumstances in the training camps. I don't let my fighters, I don't let them relax. I don't let them take a minute off, you know. And many times, you know, I catch flack from the management, you know, from their family, you know, and from the fighters themselves. But I always tell them that one time or another, you're going to look back at this time that I'm putting all this pressure on you, and you're going to thank me. You're going to thank me.
How difficult does that make it for you when you're training a fighter, when you hear this sort of noise in the background?
After 51 years in the sports, after 51 years doing this here, I basically ignore it. You know, I think and say to myself, what do they know? They've never been in this circumstances on either side of the ropes, where I've been on both sides of the ropes. I'm not telling a fighter to do anything that I wouldn't be able to do myself. But these young guys now are far more advanced. They're far more advanced physically, spiritually, mentally. They're far more advanced than what I was. You know, I had my first experience inside of a ring in 1959, and I stopped. You know, I stopped in 1969, 1970. I just stopped, you know, because of other circumstances that were beyond my control. And I elected, I said, I love the sport so much. I said, I'm going to learn how to be a teacher. And I got in there in the boxing gyms in my area, in New York and New Jersey. And I worked under a lot of good trainers, and I learned. I took a page from each one of those guys' books, and I'm a living testimony to their teachings now, because I took a page from each one of their books and comprised my own book, and I know what I'm doing. So when I'm asking fighters to go forth and to do certain things in the ring, you know, and the family's saying, oh, you're going to kill him, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, guys, what do you know? Get out of here. I don't want to hear that, you know. This ain't no daycare center. This is boxing. And then Nakatani proved that. Salute Nakatani, because he came back, and when Vallejo started letting down, Nakatani was picking up because he was focused. He believed in his attributes. He believed in his heart and his will, and he came through and he got the knockout.
Mm-hmm. That reminds me of Victor Ortiz. He's another one. Victor Ortiz, when he knocked down Marcos Maidana came back and knocked him out. Do you remember that fight?
Right. Mm-hmm. I remember.
But some of those things you can't teach mental fortitude in a gym, Uncle. I don't believe you can teach that. That's stuff that you have innate within you.
Well, I think that what's to be taught is that certain trainers are not going to take any nonsense, and I'm one of those trainers. I'm not going to take any nonsense. because I'm sacrificing my life. You know, it's just not making money. It's just not being a teacher. I'm sacrificing my life. I've given up much of my life because I believe in what I'm doing. I mean, I've missed weddings. I've missed funerals. I've missed teacher parent association meetings. I've missed all kinds of things. I missed much of my children's growth when they were growing up, my daughters, my sons, you know, and they can hold that against me now, which they don't, you know. None of my children are at odds with me. They don't say anything. If they do, they don't say anything. But, you know, chasing the dream of being a championship trainer, chasing the dream of wishing the best for the fighters, you know. And then people say, oh, you can't love your fighters. You can't love them. And my question always was, how do you train a fighter and not love the fighter, male or female? I mean, how do you do that? I can't separate myself from loving them, you know, as a trainer. You know, it goes further than that for me. I think when you're in there, sometimes the lines are blurred between being a good teacher and then being a family, or being a relative or what have you.
There's a sacrifice that needs to be made, and often when we're in the midst of almost like we're building we're building something, we have such belief in something, we can see the finished product.
Boxing is a lonely sport.
It's
called a bastard sport. It's a lonely sport, and it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. You know, I told you that I had two guys one time, and the guys was backdooring me. I did everything for these guys. I did everything for them. I bought one of them their first car. I gave another guy $3,000 that I didn't even have, you know, to get an apartment for him, his wife, and his young child, you know, just to have so they could have a roof over their head so we can still go on the train. So I borrowed money just to help him get an apartment. And then these guys was sneaking behind my back, and they were going into New York. Instead of coming to train with me, they were going into New York, and they were making money as a sparring partner, you know, and they wasn't telling me. They didn't want to give me my percentage of the money. You know, our agreement was that anything they did commercially, that I would get a percentage of it, you know. But they were backdooring me, you know. They was going out making money. And then these guys disappeared. And I, you know, for a couple of weeks, they just disappeared. And I said, well, where are they? You know, why aren't they coming to the gym? Later on, I come to find out both of them is at the hospital. I said, at the hospital? What the heck happened? How could they be at the hospital? What happened? And I said, were they in a car accident? They said, no, they were in New York and they were sparring.
And they got knocked out in sparring. Karma.
I said, they were sparring. They were sparring. So in the back of my mind, I'm angry because they were sparring and they didn't tell me anything about this sparring.
Yeah.
And as I investigated further, they said, yeah, they was over in New York and they were sparring. And it was like boxing. The guy, one of them cheek is fractured, the other guy's eardrum is busted, and he's got a fractured shoulder blade. And I said, well, God, what was he done? I mean, what were they doing? It was there's all this boxing with some kid named Michael Tyson or something, you know? Yeah, these guys was sparring with Mike Tyson. And Mike politely, yes, separate from the senses. I had another guy from New Jersey to spar with Mike Tyson. We was going to get $125 a round.
Yeah.
And I took this guy to spar with Mike Tyson. And that guy was in there one round, and he said, listen, man, He said, take these gloves off. I said, wait a minute now. Wait. He said, no, you wait a minute.
You want to fight him? You get to fight him. I'm out.
And the whole time he was talking to me, he kept looking over his shoulder before the bell rung. He said, man, take these gloves off, man. Take these gloves off. I'm telling you, he said, man, I jump out these rings. Take these gloves off me, man. He said, man, I ain't doing this for no 125. I said, no. He said, this guy is hitting too hard. He's going to hurt me. Take the gloves. He said, man, please take the gloves off. Please, man. I took them off. And that kid jumped out that ring. And the next time I saw him, the kid was just moving out the gym. And those two guys that was over there, I saw them 5-6 weeks after that. And one of them was driving he's working for some factory, driving a truck, and another guy was working for a milk company. He said, man, that's it for boxing. I don't need that. And both guys never came back to boxing.
That's karma. That's karma, Uncle. That's pure karma. Right. I've got people in the room asking a question. They think that I haven't got the guts, or I haven't got I don't want to talk to you about it. But, between myself and you, we talk about anything and everything. So somebody came into a room and said, basically, well, Vlad SIRENKO fought a guy who had a losing record and he lost a few rounds. So Vlad SIRENKO's going nowhere. What are your thoughts on that, Uncle?
Let me tell you something. There was a guy out of Baltimore. What is his name? A heavyweight guy. He was something, And there was another guy named Frankie Swindell.
Yep, he was a welterweight, wasn't he, Frankie? No, was that heavyweight?
No, Frankie Swindell was a heavyweight.
Randall's the welterweight. Swindle's the heavyweight.
Yes, Frankie Swindell was his name. And it was another guy out of Baltimore. He fought Ray Mercer. He fought the who's who of the heavyweights at that time. And if you look at that guy's record and see all those losses on there, he said, well, this guy, how could he give anybody a hard time? But he was never knocked out. He was never knocked out. Frankie Swindell fought the who's who of the heavyweights, and he was a little heavyweight. But he was in there with the toughest guys around. So when you say you fight a guy with a losing record, you can't go by records. See, that's the people that's not in boxing don't understand.
Outside, we know that.
It's not a cardinal sin to go the distance with a guy that has a losing record. It's not a cardinal sin because that's experience. That's experience. The first time Vlad SIRENKO went the distance, he went the distance with another guy with a losing record. But if you look at the guy's record, the guy was in there with everybody and their mother. And to this day, the guy is still fighting and nobody can stop him. So at a certain point in the fight...
Oh, he's asking the question. Tony Nobbs. Shout out to Tony Nobbs, by the way. Much love to you, brother. He's on Facebook, brother. Much love to him. He says the question, Marion Wilson? Is that the gentleman's name?
Marion Wilson. That's right. Tony Nobbs. No, Marion Wilson.
There you go. Tony Nobbs.
They tried to offer me a fight against Marion Wilson versus Maurice Harris. And I told him, I said, no. They said, well, why? I said, Maurice Harris fell this morning while he was running, and he hurt his back. And they came back.
Wait, he didn't break his back. He didn't break his back. He didn't break his back like Mike.
No, but it's hurt. And then he came back 7 months later and asked me to fight him again. I said, no, this time it was his ankle. Because I felt that Marion Wilson was the kind of guy that would give Maurice Harris problems and maybe even luck up and beat him because he was so durable, so tough, and one of those guys that it was just another day at the office to give people a hard time. And I didn't like the fight for my guy. I said, no, I don't see where we can benefit from this fight. If we beat him, we were supposed to beat him. If we get knocked out by him, you got knocked out by a guy who loses record. So I said, no, I don't want to fight with him. And we never did fight him. Marion Wilson, Tony is right. Marion Wilson was a beast. And he fought their mother. Nobody could stop him. So to that listener who said that he fought a guy losing record. You throughout history, you'll find people like that there. Top heavyweights that went on to win the heavyweight championship.
Of course.
The tough guys. You can't base that, take that assumption and run away with it.
No, I've seen. Of course you're not. Yeah, of course you can't. Uncle, I've asked you this question before. I've asked you on numerous occasions, but I've got to ask it again. So, what does it? When do you think you will? How long do you think it will take before you stick Vlad SIRENKO with a notable, a name that everybody knows? We don't want to ask you for you to put him in with the heavyweight champion of the world, but just a notable name.
When I'm satisfied that he can follow through with 85% of my wishes, 90%, 85 to 90% of my wishes, not 100%, just 85, 95%, you know? Because even Vlad SIRENKO has his fragilities. He's a young guy. And just because one guy can do something doesn't mean another guy can do something, you know? And I said to Vlad, I said, man, you should have stayed working the body. He said, yeah, I tried to listen, you know, but he said, this guy was freaking difficult. I was getting frustrated. And that's what you don't want a young fighter to do during a tough fight. You don't want them to get frustrated. So you have to call them back. You got to reel them back in and let them start all over again. Just because one guy is suited to do something doesn't mean another guy. So when I think that Vlad SIRENKO is better suited to go forth, then I'll go forth. You know, I just don't want to rush it.
I hear that. I do hear that, Uncle. So
you know, I don't want to rush him out there, and for him to get damaged mentally or physically. I got time. Time is on my side. He's 25 years old, so time is on our side.
Okay. So we'll talk a little bit more Vlad SIRENKO. There are people asking lots of questions there, but I do want to go back and ask some other questions about a video I sent you today. We will address your questions, but we want to there's some things I really want to get Uncle to answer today. I sent you an interview regarding Pat Barrett and Lyndon Arthur, and I said to people before the fight in the preview, I said that Lyndon Arthur is one of those old school British throwback fighters, very old fashioned the way they go about it, old school, more like something that was out of the 80s rather than the new school, which is more what Tunde Ajayi is of. Your thoughts on the interview and what Pat Barrett had to say?
I'm in agreement with practically everything that Pat said, except for he said that in America that they give guys rounds for aggression. No, Pat, they give guys rounds for effective aggression.
Uncle, can you move your camera up a bit? I've only got your mouth now.
I said,
fantastic.
They give guys rounds for effective aggression. You know, we don't give guys rounds for effective aggression.
Okay.
But everything else that he was saying, then I'm in line with it, you know. I like the way he was speaking, you know, and I'm in agreement with much of what he said, if not all. You know, you can't go out cheerleading. That's what I told Vlad SIRENKO. I don't want nobody coming inside this locker room that's not going to be civil. I don't want nobody coming in here telling you what to do. I don't want nobody coming in here telling you to watch the jab or to watch the left hook or watch the over. I don't believe in training guys in the locker room. I believe in training guys in the gym, and then when it's time to fight, it's time to fight. Mm-hmm. Whatever you don't have, then that's how we going back to the fight. But we don't change nothing in the locker room. So anybody coming in here that's not respectful to you, to me, they have to leave. They have to get out the locker room.
How did you handle the dynamics of Vladimir Klitschko when Vitali would come in the room, or even more so when Usyk was in the room and the Klitschkos would come in and see Usyk? How did you handle that dynamic?
Neither one of Klitschko's never bothered. They came in the locker room, but they never bothered me. I mean, one time, Vitaly, who was the promoter and the mayor, he came in the locker room. No, we were in Poland,
Mm.
and Vitaly came in and pulled me aside and asked me, how you gonna win this fight? And I told him what my plan was, and he just patted me on the shoulder and said, "Good plan. I'll be at ringside." And that was it. I told him out of respect because he was the promoter and he was the former champion. So I said, he wants to know he's putting his money and his promotion on the line. So I felt obligated to express myself to him. But anybody else, I would have told him, say, "Hey man, you have to sit down and watch."
Mm. Okay. I want to also go on to another subject while on the subject. Let's go Usyk, K2 promotions.
By the way, I saw Usyk at the fight. He
Yeah.
had a
Okay.
young fight. He had a young fighter fighting on the undercard, young light heavyweight fighting on the undercard.
Okay.
And
Go
I
ahead,
saw
Uncle.
him. I saw him at the fight.
Okay.
You
And what
know,
happened?
he was cordial. We got along. We chatted for a minute.
Hmm. Okay. And what were your thoughts on this story that's breaking about Usyk and the Chisora's gloves and him not signing with re-signing with K2 because he didn't feel supported, and all the stories that come out from that?
I never got to that yet. I was preoccupied with preparing SIRENKO.
But what did you think of it that he was unhappy about Chisora's gloves?
I haven't had time to ponder on it. It could be a number of things. Maybe he got growing pains. And maybe when fighters get growing pains, then they're gone. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
He said that he didn't know he didn't know anything until he didn't know anything about the ring until he got there ringside
Well,
on the night.
I don't think I don't think that's an issue of the promoter. I think that's an issue for his corner. I think that's an issue for the trainers. And the people in his corner. They're supposed to handle all of that there. Everything should be taken care of by the people in that corner.
So it's not down to the fighter to go himself to go and look and see what's
Oh,
going on.
no. When the fighter gets at the fight scene, the 1 week, 7 days leading up to the fight, all of the running around, all of the pros and cons should be taken care of by the trainer and those people who are acting under the trainer. Everything should be taken care of by them.
Not the fighter. The fighter should be going to the ring.
No, I used to do everything for Vladimir Klitschko. I did everything for him, And if somebody else came there doing the same job, then I would get offended by it. I said, "Look, you don't need me to go do it because you got him doing it. I don't need somebody to second guess me. I'm the one that's been doing this 51 years. And nobody else in that corner, in the Klitschko team, minus Emmanuel Stewart, has been there and has had as much experience as I had. So if somebody else came there asking questions or trying to seek out information about the pros and cons of the fight that's coming up, then I would go back to Vladimir Klitschko. I would go straight to the horse, not through the horse's mouth. I'd go right to the horse and say, "Listen, you got this guy going down there doing the same thing that you got me going down there doing. You don't need me to go down there because you got him going down there. Otherwise, tell them to stay out because they don't know the things that I know. They don't know the questions to ask that I know. But I don't want nobody involved with that situation if you ask me to do it." And then Vladimir will say, "Okay, all right," and he will pull the people back. I don't like that
On the
because other people are trying to mix their 2 cents in where I have the 51 years of experience. So you can't come in there with your 3% and compare it to my 51 years. And if something goes wrong, who you think the blame gonna go on? The guy with 51 years. They got the 3%. The radar gonna fly right over him. So stay out of it. Just stay out of it. That's my problem with the people in boxing today. They always come in with their 2-3% and try to act on the same level that I'm acting on. And I'm not being arrogant about it. I'm not being egotistic about it. The fact is the fact. You understand? I don't want to conclude my information, my experiences with nobody, because I don't want nobody to be credited for something good, and I don't want to be discredited for something bad. So get out of here with that shit. You know.
What? While we're on the subject, we've got to talk about the spongy canvas that the Furies found for the Klitschko fight. Any care to comment on that?
That was my idea.
What?
That was my idea.
What, how spongy canvas?
That was my idea. That was my idea. That was my baby.
Uncle Bashir, that's not legal, is it?
Huh? It is legal.
Why is it legal?
Because the champion can have in the kind of ring he wants to have.
So he basically was fighting on a bouncing castle.
Listen.
Well, let me ask you that question. Was that the same canvas that was used for the Solis fight for Klitschko where he broke his leg?
Look, I don't know about the Solis fight. But I'm saying, the canvas that we were going to use is commonly referred to as a slow canvas. It wasn't illegal. It's just called a slow canvas.
So basically, Klitschko was training on a spongy canvas, bouncing around a spongy canvas. So when guys like Pulev come in the ring to use movement, they can't use movement because they're stuck in mud.
Right.
I knew something's wrong from round one of that fight. I said Pulev's not moving.
But the thing is that you're using a canvas, but you're using it in the training camp so that the champion is used to moving around that bit. But so a newcomer that's using running said, "What the hell is this here? What am I standing on?" You have to train mentally.
But wait, so that comes back to something Muhammad Ali used to say: champion liars, champion fighters.
Hey, you know, it is what it is. It wasn't illegal. You know, the Fury camp picked up all the kudos for them. You know.
While we're at it, we're going back into the past a little bit. Ivana Habazan and Uncle Bashir Shook is asking, when is she making her return?
I haven't heard that much from Ivana since the loss to Clarissa Shields. You know, I just don't know what she's doing. You know, I don't know how she's going to come back. What she's going to do. I don't know anything. You know, I've talked to her a couple of times, but we didn't expound anything on anything concerning boxing. So it remains to be seen what she's going to do.
Okay. So,
but I will say that I think that she would be doing herself a great disservice if she doesn't come back. She should have been busy by now.
Okay, but the COVID's got nothing to do with it, you don't think?
Well, COVID, yeah, it's got something to do with it. Definitely has something to do with it. But I'm waiting for her to call me to let me know what her plans are. You know, I've had some other calls from other female boxers, you know, and I haven't responded to them in a way that they would have me respond. I just haven't had the desire, you know, just to find out. You know, I've had an offer, like I said, from a couple of managers all over the world, you know, all over the world, and even here in Ukraine.
Have you heard just very quickly, there's a girl that's fighting Peggy Pink Tyson, who's been on our channel before, she's moving up 3 weight divisions to fight a Lakata, I think it's Lakata, Layla Carter, something like that. She's moved up 3 weight divisions to fight in March. Can that be done? Is it possible something to move up 3 weight divisions and be effective?
I don't know. I think the girl just has a lot of heart, but I think she's too little for Layla McCarthy.
Really?
Yeah, I think she's too little. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. But 3 weight divisions, Uncle? Is that possible to do that? I mean, she's quite a big girl.
I think she's gonna be too small. You know, she has a lot of heart, but I think she's gonna be too small.
If she were to win a fight like that, you've got to give a massive cue to say, Uncle.
Yeah, she got. I think she just is gonna be too small. Too much reach, too much height, too much weight. I just think. I don't think she can be effective. I don't think she's gonna beat nobody like Layla. I don't think so.
Okay, on the subject of Layla Ali was talking about coming back. She always looks great, Layla Ali. Speaks very well. But talking about to fight Clarissa Shields, there was some talk about that. I know you talked about wanting to work with her before.
I would like to see that fight. I think that Layla Ali could possibly beat Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields is a good fighter, but I don't see her as the dynamic force, you know, that she's been made out to be. You know, that she's been made out to be. I don't see her as that dynamic force. Now, if she was a puncher, yeah, but she's not a puncher. She's a boxer. And you're in with Layla Ali. If Layla Ali gets 2-3 fights, and my personal perception of it, I would bring back Layla because she's been out 10, 11 years. I would bring her back and I would get her 2 or 3 warm-up fights and then put her in with
Clarissa,
because and when I say 2 or 3 warm-up fights, I would have those 2 or 3 fights in the gym. I wouldn't put them on the record. I put them in the gym. You know, let those fights be in the gym, and she let her prepare like that inside the gym. And I think that put her with Clarissa Shields after those 3 fights, just to get the rust off her, you know.
And would you train her? Would you train her, Uncle?
I would love to have the opportunity to train her because she has the kind of mentality, the kind of desire, and a bit of recklessness that I like.
That you like? Yeah.
I like that in the fight. She's reckless because she believes that she can beat Clarissa Shields. So Layla has that recklessness in a calculated recklessness, mind you. And I think that she has that chemistry that beats Clarissa. It would be a good fight. It would be a very good fight if she can shake off the ring rust. But I don't think that Layla Ali is that far out of condition that people would think.
No, she looks great physically. She always looks great. I mean, yeah, she's definitely
looking great in boxing is 2 different things, though. You know, but I think that Layla stays in a gym. I think that she's still boxing. I think that she goes in the gym periodically and boxes. You know.
Where do you think Savannah Marshall fits in all this? Savannah Marshall beat Clarissa in the amateurs. She's trained by Peter Fury. She's just won the world title. Where does she fit with Clarissa Shields in 2021?
She could fit right in there, you know. She could fit right in there. I think she puts a good job, put in a good job. I think that she has yet to come to the surface, but I think that she's in there.
Can she beat Clarissa in 2021?
I haven't seen her fighting as a pro. You know.
Okay.
When I see her, in fact, I'll go to YouTube when it's over. You just send a name, and I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'll look at it, and I can make an assessment just from looking.
Fantastic. Questions people have been asked. Who's the hardest hitter you've answered this before, but who's the hardest hitter you've ever had on the pads, Uncle, in 40 years?
The hardest hit I've ever had on the pads. I'm thinking Vladimir Klitschko. Vladimir is the hardest punch I've had on the pad.
So he hits harder than Lennox Lewis?
I never did the pads with Lennox Lewis.
Oh, wow. What about Anthony Joshua?
I've never done. Did I do the pad with Anthony? No, I might have done the pad with him, but Vladimir would be the hardest puncher that I can recall. Oh, no. Between Vladimir Klitschko and Shannon Briggs.
And that Shannon Briggs, I would have thought.
Very, very, very good. Shannon Briggs can punch, man. Shannon Briggs can punch. So between Vladimir Klitschko and Shannon Briggs, I'm going through my mind right now, and those guys punch hard. You know, they punch very hard. They can do some damage if they land a shot.
Okay. Tell me, I'll see if you ever did pads with Mike Tyson.
No, I never did pass with Mike Tyson. I never did pass with him.
Now, I want to go back to what we were talking about earlier on, Uncle. We were talking about...
Stacey McKinley did with pads with Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but he said he did. But Stacey McKinley said that Povetkin isn't a bigger puncher. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked when he said that.
Well, perhaps the way he was holding the pads. Or maybe he was too close, or maybe he's too far away. But Mike is a dangerous puncher. I know that for a fact. He hurt Maurice Harris a couple of times when I had Maurice in that camp.
Yep.
But Maurice did a good job boxing with Mike. He did a very good job.
What are your thoughts on his YouTube fighters, Uncle?
Next question. I don't get it.
Thank you very much.
Pay attention to that nonsense.
Thank you very much. I want to go back to the Yard situation with and King Arthur. What are your thoughts on the whole situation, the fallout of Yard and Arthur, and whether Yard should go back and fight on the domestic level and get some wins and win a belt, and like what Pat Barrett was saying, or should he jump right into the rematch?
I'm in agreement with much of what Pat Barrett said. You know, I'm in agreement with much he said. He said it's not Tunde's time. It's not his time. He said it's these fighters' time. And our job as teachers, as trainers, is to look out for the people who we've been entrusted to lead. And you can't lead getting into selfish confrontation, you know. It's more of ego, you know, with Tunde in the Yard camp. It's more ego than, you know, I would say, yeah, all right, we lost the fight. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's reapply ourselves and come at it from another angle. But I'm in agreement with Pat, because, hey, what's the big hurry? What's the big hurry coming back, trying to get back? It's like an ego thing. You leave that alone and go back and study your craft. All right. And I'm also in agreement with Pat where he said that ask the people that viewed the fight. I viewed the fight, and I'm telling you, I didn't have that fight that close. I didn't have that fight that close.
Nor did I. I thought Arthur won the fight on the jab, and I told him if he wanted to win the fight on the jab.
He won the first 5 or 6 rounds with the jab.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking that if he lost any of the next rounds, or at least 2 of the next rounds, which he did, then he loses the fight.
So the story is that I don't know how true it is. Apparently, Yard came back to the corner. He went, I can't get past the jab, and the response in the corner was lions in the camp.
Yeah. Yeah. So much for that. So much for that. You know.
Apparently, reportedly, don't know how true it is.
Yeah, I mean, it means nothing. It means that you're in the corner, you're cheerleading instead of giving instruction, definitive instruction.
The proof of the pudding ultimately is in the eating. Whether if Lions in the Camp makes Anthony Yarde a world champion and a world beater, and he's knocking people out and he's getting past the jab and he's looking brilliant doing it, then Lions in the Camp is working. But if Lions in the Camp is leading you to situations like this, going up mountains and falling down mountains, then you have to ask questions of it. I guess.
I think that, instead of indulging in egotistic antics, more teachings about application. Because, like I said, I watched the fight and I never saw anybody in the corner or heard anybody in the corner say, cut the ring off and attack the body. Cut the ring off and jump on him. Cut the ring off, engage him in a alley fight. Because thus far he's beating you with a jab. So you got to nullify the jab by taking the fight to him and maul your way to the inside. When you maul your way to the inside, then you start banging away.
Do you think that? Well, Pat Barrett saying he wasn't getting enough credit. Do you think the team did? Do you think they should have credited Pat Barrett and his team more, or not? Yard said he was robbed.
No, he wasn't robbed. He wasn't robbed. That's people in the corner putting that in his head, but he wasn't robbed. I told you I didn't have the fight that close. I had the fight 115, 113, or arguably 116, 112. But it wasn't. When they said split decision, I was like, what? I was like, what? So, no, I don't think he was robbed.
I want to move on to Joshua's performance versus Kubrat Pulev. And it seems to me, it seems quite apparent.
Huh?
The cat. It seems quite apparent.
Yeah.
It seems quite apparent that Anthony Joshua is evolving as a fighter, and I think the lines between him and Tyson Fury are much closer than people first gave it to be. I've seen Joshua now combine the styles of boxing and moving, and then being aggressive as well. The counter, put it back on the counter and throwing the right hand, slipping to the side, throwing uppercuts.
I don't think that's a slam dunk for Tyson Fury. I think that it's a simple fight. That Anthony Joshua would have to be aggressive, and he would have to go in and fight with Tyson Fury and not try to get into a boxing match with him. Because that's where Tyson Fury seems to excel when people go out there titting for tatting with him. No, you go out there the way Otto Wallen did and fight. I'm going to take the fight to you, and when you punch, I'm going to punch with you. The best way to beat Tyson Fury is to punch with him. Don't punch after him. Punch with him or punch before him. You double your punches. You understand? You got to fight Tyson Fury. You can't get caught up in that razzle dazzle. Step here, southpaw, orthodox, and you get caught up in that magician act that he does, and you lose on point.
It seems to me Joshua probably when he started his career looked like a pumped up weightlifter, but he doesn't look like a pumped up weightlifter anymore. And if he was a pumped up weightlifter, Pulev would have beaten him. He showed angles, he showed movement, he was able to step to the side, throw uppercuts. He was able to step back and throw the right hand over the top. He wasn't
throwing an uppercut, he was throwing an effective uppercut. And
yes.
But he threw it 3 times. 3 times. And again, we can go back to the same thing that I've always said. You can't just put a guy in the ring. You got to put somebody there who has a mindset, a calculated mindset that's going to get him over the hump. You can't have somebody in the corner, run, and with no results. You know, you can't do that. You know, if you got a Ferrari and a Volkswagen racing, you know, they might soup the Volkswagen up. They might soup it up. So you got to have a calculated guy that's driving the Ferrari to know what to do, what gears to shift, and when to shift them. Pulev was out there on his own, virtually on his own. You know, he's virtually on his own. He wasn't getting no definitive instructions, and if they were not working. They were not applicable.
So, where are we now of Anthony Joshua in 2021? Has he evolved as a fighter, in your opinion, and can he beat Tyson Fury? That's the big question.
It's a very valid question. You know, every fight offers a different scenario. You know, the way that he fought Pulev, he would have to apply a different method fighting a Tyson Fury. You know, I saw Tyson Fury box on a number of occasions. And my thinking is that he's so tall and so rangy that it's difficult for people to reach him. So my thinking is that you have to take the fight to Tyson Fury. You have to take the fight to him, slow him down. Can't let him get out there and go southpaw, go orthodox, go step to the left, step to the right, back up, forward, this, that. You can't do that. Otherwise, you'll blow the fight. The only way to Fury is to go out and fight Tyson Fury. And Anthony Joshua has the physical attributes to do that.
But what about that chin against big punches?
Well, I mean, Tyson Fury, his chin is questionable too. If you question Joshua's chin, you got to question Tyson Fury's chin too.
But then he got hit by the biggest punch in heavyweight boxing and got back up. I mean,
yeah, but he got hit. But he also got hit by the least puncher in heavyweight boxing, and he got back up. Steve Cunningham put him down too, and I don't think Steve Cunningham's punch, compared some of the heavyweight punches, is the least. So I'm just saying, you know, chins are chins.
Interesting.
Yeah. When you think about it, right? When you think about it, Steve Cunningham hit him and set him on his back.
But was he off balance when he got hit with that shot?
Oh, that's his problem. He got hit. He got hit with a clean punch, and he went down. And he didn't say nothing about no balance when he got up.
I heard a story, just a story. Deontay Wilder bringing in new trainers to his camp. He was going to bring 2 trainers into his camp.
Huh?
He's going to bring 2 trainers into his camp.
He's going to bring 2 trainers in the camp.
Yeah, he's looking at 2. He's looking at 2 trainers. Maybe either bringing 2 trainers in, or he's looking at 2 trainers.
Oh God! You know, different strokes for different folks. But if Bashir was coming in to train him, he'd have to listen to what I'm saying and what I'm saying alone. I don't mix my tutelage up with nobody else. I don't think that a boxer can serve to
2 masters.
Nah, I don't think that works. I don't think so, especially in today's world, you know, because everybody is so egotistic. Everybody is so egotistic. You know, one guy's talking over the other guy. One guy's trying to have his way over the other guy. So, no, that's not. But if that's what he thinks is going to help him, then kudos to him.
What did you make of Hughie Fury's fight against Marius Vac?
Hughie should put his lock and stock into boxing because he's not a big puncher.
Okay.
You know, he should just put all his efforts into being a good boxer. If he happen to catch somebody and get him out of there, then that's fine. But for the most part, he should invest in himself being a boxer because that's what he is.
Okay, they're still talking about how young he is and him getting his man strength. You're a professional trainer. Is this man strength ever going to come to Huey Fury at 26 now, or what?
That doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You're either you a puncher or you're not a puncher. Mike Tyson had his man strength at 17. George Foreman had his man strength at 17. So I just don't buy that, you know. I think that he's a boxer and he's not a puncher. He's just not going. He shouldn't spend his time trying to be a puncher. He should spend his time. Look, Muhammad Ali and Wilfred Benitez were not considered big punchers. But when you look at their box rec, you look at all of the knockouts those guys had, you ask yourself, if they're not punchers, how did they get all these knockouts? Because a lot of knockouts come from the art of boxing. That's why they call the sport boxing. They don't call the sport the art of punching. They call it the art of boxing. So
hit and not get hit.
Yeah. You know, the strategy. Floyd Mayweather wasn't no puncher, but he could hurt you. Wilfred Benitez could hurt you because they had blinding speed. And speed, when somebody hit you don't expect to be hit. Muhammad Ali hit you and you don't expect you can hurt somebody.
Yeah.
So that speed is something to deal with.
Have you, by any chance, got to see this guy Alan Babbage by any chance?
No, I have not.
I'll send you some video footage of him, something you can have a look at. Let me know what you think of him.
What weight?
He's a heavyweight, smallish, small size heavyweight, but he's just like a truck, just going through, knocking guys over. Not the top level guy, but he's knocking guys over quite consistently now.
I'm I spoke to Vlad SIRENKO after the fight. And I told him I'm not disillusioned because you didn't knock him out. I wanted a knockout. I desired a knockout, but I understand. He told me that this guy was very difficult. He was just very difficult. He was too close to me when I wanted to punch uppercuts, or he was too far away when I wanted to punch with left hook. He said he was just all over the place.
That's good, but that's good for him because it teaches him now when he goes back to the gym, he can't knock everybody out, and that whole thing with distance and timing, that's something he you can do it all in the gym, but when you get in the ring and you feel.
And I was constantly making him aware of that during the fight. You know, I said to him one time, I said, "How you doing?" He asked me, he said, "Why do you keep asking me how I'm doing?" I said, "Because I'm concerned about your welfare, man." You know? He got agitated a little bit. He said, "Why do you keep asking me how I'm doing? How you doing means that how you feeling? I mean, you know, that's what I'm asking you. You know? I'm asking that because I'm concerned about what's going on in your head and what's going on in your body." Okay. So he got a little agitated, but that's all in a day's work, you know. I said, "No problem. I'm not upset because you acted like that. Just don't act like that again because now you know. You know? But you have to take things that every individual is different. He'll look back on that fight and then he say, "Okay, next time I'll handle this differently." You know, I'll handle it differently. So that's where you're at.
Okay, get your questions into Uncle Bashir now because he's gonna be answering some questions now. Quick fire questions. Let's go. First one is: does Uncle Bashir advise fighters against weight training in their boxing career, or is it inconsequential?
I don't like it. I think that toning weights is fine. No more than 15-pound weights. I don't like nobody lifting and stuff. I'd rather for two guys to get in the ring and press their bodies against each other, wrestle with each other inside the ring, like in a clinch-like wrestle, not wrestling as like the art of wrestling, but the clinch-like wrestling. That's where I think that the application should be when it comes to it. But as far as weightlifting for strength and stuff like that, I don't like that.
Right. Question for Uncle by Volume on Max says, is boxing in the States just watched on TV by African Americans and Spanish speaking Americans? Is it non existent sport for Caucasian fans?
Repeat that question. Say it again, please.
It goes, question for Uncle, is boxing in the States just watched by on TV by African Americans and Spanish speaking Americans? Is it non existent sport for Caucasian fans?
That's not true.
He's asking the question.
No, that's not true. And don't look at it as true. I mean, boxing is a universal sport. Blacks, whites, Latino, Asian, they all like boxing.
He follows up by saying the only Caucasians that watch boxing seem to be the boxing journalists. Do ordinary white folk in America have the interest in boxing? Just curious.
No, I think that they're enthusiastic about the sport.
Because I know Bob Arum once meant that UFC is for Caucasians and boxing is more made for Hispanics and blacks.
Yeah, but Bob Arum said a lot of things. He says a lot of things, you know. You go back to the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, there were a lot of Italian and Jewish boxers. You know, there are not as many now as there were then. But going back to those times, there were a lot of Italian, Jewish, and even Irish boxers that can turn your clock back, you know.
Yes.
And there are a lot of them now that's striving to be boxers. In Great Britain, there are a lot of boxers of Irish descent, you know, that still want to box. So I don't believe that.
Cameron asked the question, does Bashir think Wilder becomes champion again?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. What? I think Deontay Wilder stands an excellent chance of becoming the champion again.
On the subject of champion, do you want him at heavyweight or bridgeweight?
Listen.
Listen.
Jury is out. Look, boxing is a commercial sport.
Yeah.
It's commercial. And it's a bastard sport, and it's a commercial sport. So the more, you know, at first I was against all of these weights. But it's like fighting an uphill battle, you know? So if the guys come in with another weight in between that there, and guys can go out there and make money and provide for their families and end up on their feet and have a good life, then kudos for them.
That means we might see people like Gassiev coming in and fighting at bridgerweight.
I see that. I see that.
Eddie Hearn make Usyk versus Joshua. James Bashir should train Usyk. Yeah, Usyk's got an interesting situation now. He's either going to have to fight Anthony Joshua or Joe Joyce. But whoever he fights, it's going to be a big guy that can punch.
I think the brain trust of Joshua is going to relinquish the WBO belt and move towards a Fury fight. I think they're going to try to preserve Joshua for the winner of Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. That's what I would do.
So you would go for Usyk now if you were Joshua?
If I was Joshua, I would try to go for Tyson Fury. I would ignore the Tyson Fury fight.
The Usyk fight, you mean?
I mean the Usyk fight. I would ignore that. I would just let the belt go, and I'd go for the big money and try to get the winner of Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury.
If that fight doesn't happen and the WBO vacate that belt and make Usyk and Joyce fight, how does that fight go at the moment?
Oh, that's a thrilling fight.
Listen, I'm backing Joyce early for that one. I'm backing him.
That's a thrilling fight, but he couldn't fight. He couldn't fight the same fight that he fought versus Du Bois.
No, he wouldn't. They said he wouldn't. He said he'd fight a different style for Usyk. I think he'd try and track Usyk down.
But still an interesting fight. Still an interesting fight.
Shoot One says, MMA, a bunch of guys rolling around the floor like homosexuals that some skinheads watch. I can't compare it to boxing. Bob Aaron won't ask about boxing.
Yeah.
UFC and MMA.
There's a lot of guys that's coming into MMA with boxing skills, and they're utilizing those boxing skills. So Bob said that, but I don't know whether that's correct. I don't know whether that's correct. I don't watch MMA. I don't like watching it, but that doesn't mean that the fans doesn't like watching it.
Side note, it's taken Uncle Bashir 5 years to work out how to get the video. Haha. Oh, hey, Uncle.
Hey, man. Look, I finally found out,
Love the way...
guy. I'm old school guy. Give me a break, man. Give me a break. Tell them to put so much pressure on me, man.
Love the way Bashir...
He's trying to burn my wires out.
Love the way Bashir pronounces Dubois. Ha.
Is it Dubois? Du Bois?
The Dubois.
Dubois? Du Bois? How you say it? Dubois? Du Bois?
I think it's Dubois for now.
Is he of Haitian descent?
I don't know, That's a good question. I'll find out. Dubois sounds... It sounds French or Haitian, yeah. So we'll have to look into that one. It says, something skinheads watch whilst talking to Bashir, who has no hair. Pissed myself laughing. Got a real joker tonight, haven't we?
Oh yeah. You got some real wise guys on here tonight. But it's all good. It's all good. Next time I come on the show, I'm gonna have my wig on. What you got to say about that shit?
Uncle, what have you made of Chris Eubank Jr. joining now Roy Jones Jr.? Is that going to work?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because you can't teach Roy Jones. Roy Jones can't teach Roy Jones. I think anybody that tries to adopt Roy Jones
is going to get knocked out.
It's going to get knocked on their ass.
Says, we need Bashir with braids. Uncle, you want a piece of this?
Man, hey, get off me, man. Hey, what is this? Throw darts at Bashir night? Get off me, man. What's the matter with y'all, man? We supposed to talk boxing, y'all sitting up there hiking on me, man. Stop that.
Uncle, I do want to talk about a disturbing trend, a very disturbing trend across boxing media, where media are no longer telling the truth, but they're telling either what's fashionable or what's going to bring money in, but they're not telling the truth no more. And these commentators are disgusting. They're absolutely disgusting. Like they're not in calling fights the way they should be called. I mean, I saw Martin Bakole against Kuzman. And Kuzma was hitting Bakole with flush shots on his chin. Yeah? Clean shots.
By the way, who won that fight? I didn't see it.
Listen, I don't know how Bakole won that fight. He was catching shots like a goalkeeper. Boom, boom, his head's moving like this all the time. It's like me standing in front of you and saying, hit me on your chin, and just stand there and you hit me, boom, boom, my head's moving like that. For the whole 12 rounds or 10 rounds or whatever it was. And that's what Bakole was doing. Moving forward, throwing a couple of shots like this. And then was really loaded up, actually swinging for the hills and hitting Bakole clean on the chin. I mean, if he didn't have a decent chin, he'd have been knocked out. And Bacoli wants that on points. I'm like, what are we watching here?
Kuzman, I heard that name before.
Sergey Kuzman knocked out Joyce in the amateurs within, I think, 30 seconds. And he retired David Price as well.
Right, okay. So they did Bacoli a favor and stole the fight.
I don't think you won the fight. I'll send you the fight afterwards, and you can tell me what you think of the fight.
Please send the fight to me.
No. Kuzma was landing clean, hard, eye-catching punches. Bacoli's head was moving around like this all the time you hit him.
Yeah, well, that's
boxing. But in the heavyweight division...
I told you in the Vlad SIRENKO fight that one of the WBC judges gave the first 4 rounds to the opponent. And I was like saying, what? I didn't even have a scorecard from me. And I said that, I told Vlad in the corner, after the 3rd round that you're winning these rounds, that you're 3 rounds up. And when they told me that one of the judges had to win the first 4 rounds, I said, what? What? I mean, what is this guy? What is he drinking? Come on. Come on.
WBC Scotch. There was another question I was going to ask you, and yes,
but that's a point that I try to make of Vlad. You cannot leave these fights in the hands of these judges at no level. When you go in that ring, you got to be focused and you got to be ready to fight. You got to be focused. Nakatani with Verhejo was ready to fight. He got up from 2 knockdowns and he came in and he did the do. He got the job done because Verhejo, after the 7th, 8th round, began to decline. He started running out of gas, running out of steam. And Nakatani was picking up. Nakatani said that I have seen the worst that you got. Now it's my time. And he came in and he knocked him out. Hello? 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 They forgot me. So, I mean, what y'all thinking about my hairdo now? Should I just wear a wig? Should I just get braids? Huh? Okay.
where's Uncle Bashir, guys? He disappeared. Looks like Uncle Bashir's gone. Wait, I think we might have lost Uncle Bashir. I think he might have lost Uncle Bashir to the cat. Okay, bear with me a second. Let's see if we can get Uncle Bashir back in the room. At least we can get a natural ending with Uncle. So you get your questions in so I can finish off by asking Uncle some more questions. Let's see if he's still there. He might have gone to feed the cat. If that case, then we will. Let's see now. Let's see if Uncle will come back for us. If not, then we'll just end the show. But let's hope that's not the case. No, he's not seen the message. See, let me just give him a quick call, see if we can get him back. Uncle, where you at?
Huh?
Where you at? We're still on the live waiting for you.
Okay, I'm trying to get back on the air. You went off. You got cut off.
Click the link, or we should be straight back in.
Okay.
Here we go. Uncle will be back in a bit. Get your questions in. Uncle Bashir will be back in a moment to finish up. So, you can thank BT Halo for that. So Uncle should be back in a minute. So while we're waiting for Uncle to come back, let's talk a little bit about this situation with. Yeah, I will do. I'll make his Uncle back in the room now. Bang. Our our interruption is sponsored by BT Halo. BT's Halo is the fastest internet supposedly you can get on BT, British Telecom. But it's the most annoying, and I've been disconnected so many times because of it. And I'm going to have to talk to BT about a refund. Thank goodness this is not my place. It's my mum's place. I'll be back in my place soon, so we have these nonsense disconnections. Anyway, back to our point. So the question is here, Uncle, do you believe that Jessica Castle beats Kate Taylor in a rematch now because she's undisputed champion and she's beating Cecilia Brækhus?
Gotta review the films to make that assessment. You know, after I make the assessment, look at the review the films, then I can just about say who's going to win, who's going to lose.
Okay, says here.
But at this time, the jury is out.
Okay. There's a fascinating story concerning the Dubois family history that goes back nearly 300 years. His dad, Dave, told me they are. So they are Asians.
The Haitians, okay.
Uncle, what's your favourite food? That's what Cameron's asking. Your friend.
Wow, I don't know what my favorite food is.
I know you like to eat.
Yeah. No, I don't know what my favorite food is.
Okay, what would you say your top 3 dishes?
I like broccoli, ground turkey.
Yuck.
Yeah, broccoli, ground turkey, spinach.
Okay.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that combination.
Okay, Uncle. All right.
I'm a simple eater. I'm very simple. I don't go too deep and too exotic.
What's your thoughts on Lawrence Okoli? He's talking about fighting a cruiserweight. He knocked a guy that we didn't know anything about. They're talking about him moving up to heavyweight. Lawrence Okoli, the cruiserweight.
How tall is he? I
think he's 6'3", 6'4".
Hmm? And he's talking about going up to heavyweight or cruiserweight?
Heavyweight. He's a cruiserweight at the moment.
If he can get to 220 on his frame, then why not? You know, he has a good chance. But I think that the WBC is formulating this new weight class. I think that's going to be essential for the guys because I think that guys 220, you got to get in there with a guy that's 280, 290. It's just too much. It's too much to give away. I mean, they could beat those guys, but the likelihood of them beating those guys are not that good. So I think that this new weight division is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I think gives these other guys a chance
to feel what it's like before they
to become champions. And if they decide to go up to heavyweight later on, let them go back.
Guys here, what did Uncle Bashir tell us about the jab from the time of Dempsey going from a KO punch evolving to now, and why so many fighters lack a sufficient one?
Because of all of this fancy
Pad work.
They get lost in the sauce with all this fancy behind the back with the mitts and all that nonsense. That means nothing as far as I'm concerned. As I said before, on many occasions, if somebody wants to justify something, then they'll find a logical explanation for doing it. But I don't buy into that pity pat, slippy slap stuff. It doesn't mean nothing. Ask Felix Verheo, as you go down the stretch in a tough fight, that's the last thing that's on your mind, that fancy pad work and all that stuff.
It's aerobic.
Yeah, it's like aerobic, and I think the further you get into a tough fight, when you get into a tough fight, that's why I make my guys go 17 rounds, 18 rounds in the gym. They said, oh, he's going to wear the guy out. But what happens when you are confronted with a tough fight in the fourth round and the guy makes you spend 2, maybe 3 rounds worth of energy in that one round? Then you'll be thankful that you went those 15, 16 rounds, because I have that reserved energy because my trainer had me go extra rounds.
Okay.
That's where it counts at. I don't, all this, I see the guys doing the so many things inside the gym that I just think is unrelated to winning a
boxing.
Fight. Mm-hmm. It's unrelated to winning the fight. I'm trying to win fights. I want everything done inside of the ring. I don't want them, outside the ring doing a bunch of pity pat, slippy slap, cute stuff. Because once you get punched in the mouth and knocked on that canvas, when you get up, the last thing you think about is being a cutie pie. You're thinking about winning the fight. You're thinking about getting out of that ring alive. So, no, I'm not associated with that.
Okay, next question. Interesting one. How are those Ukrainian women, Bashir? Ha 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 ha.
Well, I can tell you one thing, that Ukrainian women are better than Ukrainian men.
Uncle, you're saying that the way that comes across sounds like you've well, let's not go there. Let's leave it right where it is. Well, you're saying that men are better than women. I don't know.
Yeah, because I never got around with no men.
That's why I need to clarify that yourself, just to make sure people make it clear that you.
It's better than being engaged by Ukrainian men. That's for sure.
Okay, we'll move swiftly on. The most
hey man, this is a boxing station. Y'all I mean, these guys are funny tonight. Y'all talking about my hairdo. You talking about women. I don't know.
They love you, Uncle. They love you. They've known you for years. They love you. That's what it is.
I think they had too many beers before they came on here tonight.
It might be. It's an interesting point. The most famous ancestor of Daniel Dubois is Sylvie Dubois, who was born in New Jersey in the 18th century and took her name from the French businessman owner. Check that out. What do you think of that?
Well, tell Daniel I live in New Jersey, so I'll look him up. He must got some ancestors still there.
Absolutely. They need to come. He needs to come and pay you a visit, Uncle, I think.
Yeah, I'll be glad to. He's a nice kid. I like him.
Yes.
I hope that he recovers well. I hope he recovers well because I like him.
I think Volume O on Max says, I think Big Baby Miller would beat both Wilder and AJ. Thoughts, Uncle?
The jury is out on Jarrell Miller. The jury is out on him. He's out for 2 years, so we're not going to talk about Jarrell Miller.
Do you know anything?
Because he managed to get himself into a hole, and I don't know how he's going to be when he comes back. So I don't want to make no mention about Jarrell Miller.
What's your intel on Christopher Lovejoy?
I don't know that much about him. I think that he's a Don King fighter. Send me
Yeah.
some information. When you send the link over with Bacoli, send the link over with Lovejoy. I don't know anything about him.
I don't know about him either. I'm trying to find information myself.
There's
So
nothing on YouTube. There's nothing on
not
YouTube.
much, no, not much. If anybody's got any information on Christopher Lovejoy, I appreciate it. Let's see here. Is it difficult raising or maintaining a family when one trainer is so dedicated to the sport?
What do you say?
Is it difficult raising or maintaining a family when a trainer is dedicated to the sport?
It's difficult in boxing because boxing is not where you're going to be in one place. I mean, you got 6 weeks over here, you got 2 months over there, you got 5 months on here. It's no calculated time what you're going to have to spend once you sign the contract. Once you sign the contract, then you've got to go. And it's a tough thing being a boxing trainer because it takes away so much time away from your family. If I had it to do all over again, I don't know if I would have committed to this.
Okay. Your friend is back, Cameron, says, I'd like to buy Bashir a drink and then take him to a UK strip club.
A strip club?
Yeah, bring you to the UK.
I'm past that. I'm past that. What are you guys doing tonight?
Uncle, they love you. Uncle, they love you. They love you, Uncle. They love you.
What are you guys drinking tonight? You know.
I think for some of them, they're probably drinking White Lightning.
Yeah, they're drinking something bright lights or something.
Okay. Michael Thomas asked the question: the Mayweather pad training from other trainers are job like Floyd Mayweather said they don't know shit about boxing.
Say that again.
He's basically saying that people try and copy Roger Mayweather on the pads because they don't know shit about boxing.
You know, I get so exhausted with this. I don't practice that style of mid-training. I have never practiced, and I don't have any interest on practicing because it's unrealistic. It's not going to happen inside of the ring. It's just not going to happen. And I look at some of the things that's wrong with that style. You know, some of the things and I don't want to reveal it because, like I said, I'm not here to train trainers. You know, they have to figure it out themselves. They sit back and watch the style. That style was made exclusively for
Floyd
Mayweather, for Floyd Mayweather and Roger Mayweather. Roger Mayweather created it, or the Mayweather's period created it, and I think it's better suited for guys like Floyd Mayweather, who knows how to utilize and benefit from it, as opposed to people who are just doing it. I think people are doing it just to make it seem like they're important and to make it seem like they're doing something by doing that there. But it's like a routine. I don't like it. I've never practiced it, and I never will practice it.
Are all fighters on PEDs, Uncle? Or the heavyweights? Because Jarrell Miller, Povetkin...
You know what? I know a lot of people who are using PEDs. I've had one guy over the last couple of years to tell me, he says, oh, everybody does it. And when he told me that there, I looked at him differently. I thought differently. He said, oh, everybody is doing it. And that told me that he was involved.
He might be doing it.
You know, and that changed the way I thought about him. When he said that everybody's doing it, that told me that he's doing it, and I didn't like it, and I just got away from it. I just left it alone. because I can't make somebody see the things that I see. But this is supposed to be a sport, and it cannot be a viable sport if everybody is cheating, if everybody's shooting drugs and coming in, and sometimes you're a monster when you come in the ring. The punches that will affect a guy that's not on PEDs, all right, the punches that affects them are far different from those guys that are taking PEDs, and you're subject to hurt somebody, maybe even kill somebody. And I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want that on my conscience. At the end of the day, I don't want that on my conscience. That I was with a guy that was on PEDs, that they find out later on that the guy died because I'm working with some clown that's working on PED. That means that you're a fucking punk. You ain't got no fucking heart, and you're a punk. And you're doing some real bitch stuff by taking PEDs. So I don't want to be associated with that dude. So if anybody's using PEDs and thinking about having me as a trainer, you can
Forget it.
Fuck off.
As Tyson would say. Next one. Uncle's favourite heavyweight of all time.
Pardon me?
Favourite heavyweight of all time.
The best heavyweight of all time?
Your favourite heavyweight.
Of course, Muhammad Ali. Muhammad
Really?
Ali, no doubt, no question about it. Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
No question about it. What makes greatness is when people overcome the odds. When people who are downtrodden, who rises to the top of everything despite of what they are faced with and what comes after. And Muhammad Ali comes to mind because he went through everything and he stood up. He stood up and he came through. So he's got to be the greatest of all time for me.
You can train fighters. Surely a good woman is easy to work. Is easy work.
Do what?
You can train fighters. Surely a good woman is easy work.
Next question.
Cool. Have you ever looked at a fighter and just know he's on something?
Yeah. A couple of times. You know, a couple of people that I worked with over the years, and I knew that they were on something. You know, and to me, it's some real bitch stuff, some real punk bitch stuff, and I don't like it.
Okay. Who do you think hit harder, Wilder or Shavers?
Shavers.
Okay,
Shavers.
maybe because he fought better opposition.
Better opposition in both hands.
Okay. The Tyson Fury who fought Klitschko versus Prime Ali, who wins and why?
Ali, mental fortitude. Tyson is fragile, you know. He's in, he's out. He's on today and tomorrow he's off. Ali was Ali all of the time.
Okay. Michael says James Ali Bashir, favourite heavyweight all time, Ali, real OG. And then Volumax says Muhammad Ali is my favourite heavyweight too, the greatest of all time. Wilders versus Shavers, what a fight.
Yeah, I think that that's a dangerous fight. And whoever gets hit goes. Whoever lands first is the other one's gonna go.
Let me give you one fight before we go. Alexander Povetkin versus Luis Ortiz.
Good matchup. I like Povetkin.
Why?
Povetkin is more settled than Ortiz. Ortiz seems to be playing a lottery. He punches, and then he looks for something to happen. If nothing don't happen, he falls apart. Povetkin stays to Povetkin throughout the fight. You can hit him, you can nail him, you can put him down, but he gets up with the same attitude that he had before he got put down.
The rematch between White and Povetkin.
It's a tough fight. It's a tough fight. However you look at it, it's a tough fight. But I think Povetkin is in that fight, and he may come out unanimous decision.
Okay, Uncle. All right. I think we've come to the end of our show, Uncle. Any thoughts before you go?
Your phone is making staticky sound.
Yeah, that's why we're going to end.
You know, it's some kind of shortage in the wiring, I think. You know, that's what it sounds like to me. I think boxing is in need of solid teachers. You know, you can't tell people nothing. I'm just tired of talking about it. You know, you can't tell people nothing. Everybody's got their own way, their own attitude about what boxing is. And then they get boxers that go along with this stupidity and think that they're being taught right until they learn that they're not being taught right. And most of the time, when they learn that they're not being taught right, it's too late for their careers. But I'm just telling the would-be boxers out there, open your eyes and observe what you're getting yourself into before you go forth. Observe the tutelage. I can't hear you.
I'm there, Uncle. I can hear you. I muted myself.
Okay, all right. It's your wiring on that thing. But I think that these guys can't grow because they don't have the proper teaching. I'm just tired of talking about it, you know. I mean, if you want to be with people who don't know, who's guessing, that's it. There's so many guys that's not being taught right. You saw Pulev with Joshua, right? Did you observe that?
I did.
And he was punching from the back. See, he was making so many mistakes. And the referee should have stopped that fight. The minute Pulev turned his back, he should have stopped that fight. You know? I mean, Pulev is a good fighter. He's not a great fighter, but he's a good fighter. And I think that, you know, that it might be the end for him. If he decides to go on, he got to get somebody in there that knows what they're doing. You know, they know what they're doing. I think now that people are just out there and they don't want to pay for good trainers. They don't want to pay. The boxers don't want to pay. They'd rather take their money and put it into a car or put it into some woman or some other material thing, but they don't want to pay the cost for good trainers. You know, if you want to go on in boxing, you've got to pay for good trainers. Nobody's going to come halfway across the world or wherever it is you're in the world and you don't want to pay them. They're not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. So that's it.
Uncle, thank you so much as always.
And tell all the comedians that was on the show tonight, you're off to a good start in a career as being a comedian.